Hello everyone, and thanks for coming back to the channel. This F1 style quad is the SideWinder from Tomo. I built mine using the RCGroups F428 flight stack, Ishii TX02, RCX 1304, 5000 kV motors, Gym Fan 2540 props, Run Cam Microswift 2, and my favorite battery strap. Motor post to motor post, I'm getting about 117 millimeters. Front to back, I'm getting 70 millimeters. Side to side, I'm getting 92.58 millimeters. Bottom plate looks like it's 2 millimeters. Arms look like they're 8.5 millimeters wide. Looks like the top plate's 2 millimeters as well. The way I have mine built, it's 85.7 grams. So there's a couple of things you need to be aware of with this. First and foremost, you probably saw from the flight footage that you can see with this particular camera, super wide angle lens, 2.1 millimeter lens, that you can see a bit of this TPU. Now you could take your Dremel and just kind of grind things down and get rid of that. I will tell you that I had a micro predator in here that with the, the 1.8 millimeter lens, and that did not show this TPU mount. But unfortunately, half of the 6 Foxier Predator cameras I had have jello in them, so I'm waiting for new lenses that I bought. So not only did I buy cameras for 30-some dollars, now I'm going back and I'm buying lenses too because Foxier won't respond to me. So do note that. I do think the frame is very interesting, and I like interesting. So we could see, and maybe somebody can correct me, but in my opinion, the flight, oftentimes when we would design a quad, we'd want the flight controller or the gyro and accelerometer to be in line with the motors. And so in this case, it's just a bit off. But if you look at it like this, you would think it's way off. But it's really not. There's also a couple of things that you should know about my build versus maybe what the designer Tomo originally intended. So we have this space up here. This is perfect for your VTX digital display to go right up there. I chose not to put it up there. just because I crashed so much. I thought, man, if I'm banging it off that carbon, is that going to kill my VTX? And am I going to have to rework it? So it's like, well, it'll fit here. It'll work all fine. So I'll just do that. We've got a couple nice little slots for our antennas. I'm using a Spectrum satellite in this particular case. And right here with these holes, that is how you get your camera tilt. If you want to decrease your camera tilt, you go to maybe this hole. If you want the most camera tilt, I believe it's this hole. This hole, I think you can only use for antenna purposes if your VTX is up in this gap, and then your antenna would come up through here. I don't think you can get that hole to line up to mount back here to lean the camera back anymore, unless you took out this carbon fiber piece. And this carbon fiber piece is kind of a stroke of genius, and I bet you this gets copied. I bet you we start to see this, because I don't know what kind of printer you need to have in order to print 2 different colors or multiple colors, but that's cool. There's no 2 ways about it. That's cool. Mine's a little bit dirty, but when it's brand new, it's really cool. And if you just have to add this one simple piece of carbon in order to strengthen or firm up the top, you have hardly any material. You've got this one post, and you could actually save some weight by using a smaller post. You could probably go to an M2.5 or even a 2mm post, and it would be fine. That is something I have not seen before, and it's something that I kind of appreciated as new. It works great. It didn't have any problems. I crash all the time. I bang into stuff. No problems. Top quality carbon. Fun to fly. I think the only deficiency that it has is it does lack camera tilt. For someone like me, who I'm not a great freestyle pilot, I'm more of a kind of a racing flight style. I need to work on that, but kind of fly the same way. It just feels right to me. But so if I wanted more camera tilt, I just can't get it, I don't think. If I take out this top carbon piece, which I did do once, I don't have much space in here to lean my camera back anyways. So I've got like maybe 2 millimeters, maybe 3 millimeters that I could go back with the camera tilt, which could be substantial, could be exactly what I'm looking for, but I could also maybe move the wires. I think it's sitting on one of the wires underneath there. That might help give me a little bit more camera tilt too. But so you're limited to the notches that we have on top, and I flew with this camera angle that you see here. I think I've mentioned these motors before, but Aaron Ciotti FPV, he turned me onto these motors. He'd been hollering probably at me for, I don't know, 3 months to try these motors on 4S, and it's a good match. I like it. It's solid. The thing that you'll notice the most over, say, an 1105, 1106, 1107 motor, the throttle response is very even throughout the resolution of the throttle stick, versus these, depending upon the motor, it can feel kind of jumpy or jittery, and so if your throttle control isn't great, you might have a hard time keeping things nice and smooth. I'm not great at keeping things nice and smooth, but if you're that sort of flyer, you're going to really enjoy these on 4S. I tried those other LDARC motors on 3S, and it just couldn't quite live up to it. I'm not going to make the argument for Aaron, but he does have a very good point that when we think about batteries and the difference between 3S and 4S and the weight and the mAh that we have, or milliamp per hour, that we're using, it's not as though we've increased the weight dramatically from 3 to 4S. And if you have a 450 milliamp 4S battery versus a 350 or a 650 milliamp 3S, you've got about the same weight, maybe even less in the 4S side, and you've got more throttle response and thrust with the 4S as well. So I would encourage you, if you have the means and you're looking at a build, these fit the 9mm distance here to mount for 1104. Give them a go. If you're wanting to use motor cups or motor protectors, those aren't going to work, of course, because those were probably designed for 1104 and you're putting on 1304. I do hope that so few manufacturers jump into this game and start to design more motors in the 1304, even 1306. Just the 1300 series, I think we need to see that liven up. Emax is really the only company 2 years ago that did any 130X motor development, and those are dated, so we're looking for more. We're running much different props nowadays, and we're using much different batteries, so it would be good. But this frame, I think, it's just very interesting, and it's very cool. I mean, I've said it again, it's cool. Got the TQ right there, hopefully that comes through. TomoQuads. SideWinder. Poor guy's dirty. He's been out flying pretty hard. But it's a good time. I think if you want to build one, you might want to give it a go. And of course, I did fly it with the China Hobbyline batteries. And if you want to get a flight time similar to mine with performance similar to mine, you might want to try these batteries. You can find them at ChinaHobbyline.com. That sounded like an infomercial. I make no money from China Hobby Line. They only give me batteries. All right, if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please leave those in the section down below. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.